So, the third story for today is a little bit about sort of like player engagement and character and fear. Um, the undead creatures that we played this game were incredibly strong. There was an array of undead at the court that I held during the first part of the game that uh, basically each person on the court could have been an end boss of like a season on their own. And there were like 5 or 6 of us. We were a strong array of NPCs. Like definitely really 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 tough. And that creates a lot of apprehension in players who know like what a Death Knight is capable of, what a Lich is capable of, what a Plague Knight is capable of. These things that they've identified as the things that we're playing. On an out of game level, they know sort of like similarly what those things are capable of, and then on an in game level, there's the whole like they're big scary undead, of course. And during Saturday night, we had a couple of our people during the day be killed. Like there's this guy playing a character called the Day Captain, who is like a living person, but who is like my servant during the day. Because the undead can't walk in the sun unless they've got a very powerful ritual on them. And so the Day Captain was murdered, by like resistance forces. And I had to show up Saturday night and basically be like, who the fuck is responsible for this? And you will step forward or I will start killing people. Like that kind of thing. And that sort of stuff sort of went on for a little while. And then one of my friends, Brad, playing his character Torvald, who's like this Einhar, like Norse character, steps forward and goes like, I would like to challenge you to single combat. And I went, on what grounds? He goes, you've been abusing our people, taking over our town, and I just don't like your face. So of course my reaction was, fine, you want to fight? Let's fight. And so we're in the tavern, and everybody sort of like presses out to the sides, presses out to the extremes of the place to give us space. And I've got my big, Death Knight two-handed sword, and he's got like a big two-handed axe. He's like a sort of a berserker type character. And we went at it, and we hammed it up really hard. Like, I didn't just go like, fine, let's fight, magic death. Like I actually like fought him with my weapon. And it was really cinematic, and it was really good. And when you slow combat down to a point where it's like one person versus one person, you can count the numbers that you're getting hit with, you can figure out the damage that's happening, you can act theatrically. Combat looks really cool, and it's super stylish, and it basically ended with me killing him. But he said it was one of his favorite parts of the game, because of the way it went. And the way it ended was really great, because he sort of berserked during the combat and ran at me with his hands up, axe overhead, like coming down for the big smash. And I just went, you're not prepared, 50 slay, and just like dropped a like two-handed sword thrust into his chest. And it was this perfect sort of moment where it looked so good from an outside perspective, like just shoving the sword directly into his chest as he charged towards me. And I like tried to dramatically remove it, and he dropped to his knees, and he's like gasping on the ground, like like trying to like get breath. He's not dead yet, but he's like clearly close. And my swings are for a magic carrier called Nausea, so it's like 15 magic nausea. And if you have nausea, you can't do a skill. You can only do like regular attacks. So anything special he had planned was done, but he's kneeling on the ground, and I pace a little bit, you know, do the evil villain thing, pacing around. Everybody in town is watching. Like, every single person. The NPCs are behind me. The players are behind him. Everyone is watching. All the eyes are on this fight. And I pace a little bit. I go, "Are we done?" And he keeps gasping. He doesn't say anything. He's, "Oh, you fucking," you know, like, doing that kind of thing. And I go, like, "Well, I did say to the death." And I circle around behind him while he's, like, trying to pick himself up. Just give him the over-the-back chop for 15 damage, and he just drops to the floor, corpseified. It was really dramatic. It was a super great scene, and I'm happy that we got to do it. Have this sort of single combat in the space where there's going to be, you know, large amounts of other combat that is a lot more hectic and a lot less cinematic and a lot more, you know, what have you. Sort of more number based and quick based and not so simple and good looking. But yeah, so I put him down, and I put my sword on his back, and I just started going, killing blow 1, killing blow 2, killing blow 3, and the killing blow count is like to put him from his bleed into his death, you know what I mean? And everybody just watched me do it. The whole town just stood there and looked at me like, oh my fuck. Like, their plan was to have Torvald challenge me and win, and then to attack or something, and I won, and I was killing their champion, you know what I mean? And they're all like, fuck, you know, like, looking at me like they can't do anything, and they just let me kill him. They just let me kill him, and I walked away and went and sat back down on my nice throne, you know, at the back of the room. And he died. He got killed, you know. A little bit later, like, some people showed up, like the paladins of the town sort of like showed up and started a bit of a ruckus while we were there, and there was a big fight, but like, while the fight started, I yelled out stuff like, "Kneel and you won't be harmed," you know, and it was amazing how many of these players, like, had decided that it wasn't worth it to fight these strong undead, rather than all band together and maybe try and kill us. Like, so many people were willing to just, like, sit out, were willing to just, like, be like, all praise our new leader, you know, like the undead death knight from Alexandria, all praise, I don't want any of that, all praise, you know. And that's just like, you fear for your life, you know, like, in character, you fear for your character's life. And so it sort of spurs you to inaction when action may have helped them win, you know. I died during this fight once, like, my Death Knight died. I hardly engaged in combat at all, but one of the paladins got close to me and just, like, grabbed me, basically, and started just, like, lay on handsing me. And I'm undead, so healing hurts me, and lay on hands is a very powerful heal, you know? It was one of those things where it was like, they got a little bit closer and just went, lay on hands, lay on hands, lay on hands, like, as they like, held onto my shirt, you know? And I'm screaming and, like, you know, fall to the ground dead and whatever. But with Underworld, there are multiple lives for every character, like, especially, you know, including bad people. So that Death Knight is close to her final death now, but she didn't final death from it. That paladin is definitely not in my good books as that NPC. But I'm done with my NPC stuff, so she might not be back, you know. She's a general. She has better things to do than govern this tiny little hamlet of a town. She's got, like, fronts to go and fight at, you know, where the war is still happening. She'll leave people here to occupy this little town. Yeah, I mean, if they'd all stopped to try and fight, there might have been more to say. I don't know that there would have, because we were some very strong undead, but yeah. The paladin, yeah. The paladin was Lark, which is my friend Tammy's paladin. She usually plays one of my friends, or she, when I'm playing Aaron, she plays one of my friends, Ray. But her paladin is Lark, the paladin of Roland, who is the paladin of like, who is the god of like law and order, that kind of thing, protection. But yeah, I got smoked with some lay on hands, but it was good shit. Like, I was definitely happy.